I went searching for answers for my daughter who was struggling with addiction. But I got so excited that when I started sharing this with anybody that would listen to me, I realized, wait a minute. Had I known this stuff when my daughter was 6, she may not turn to drugs and alcohol at 15.
Stop chasing symptoms. Real healing happens when you feed your brain, fuel your body, and free your mind.
Now, let's talk about perspective. If I asked you when you were growing up, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm wondering if what you're doing today and what you thought about doing is the same. Think about that for a minute. I have this cute little granddaughter. Her name's Harper. She's 5. And at the end of her preschool, before she's in kindergarten now, but at the end of her preschool, the teacher would say, "What are you going to be when you grow up?" And she would say, all the kids are like, "I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a construction worker. I'm going to be all these different things." And my cute little granddaughter, the first year, stood up and said, I'm going to be a dinosaur. The second year, she stood up so proudly and said, "I'm going to be a witch." And I thought to myself, I wonder what it was that I thought I was going to be when I grew up. So I'm a collector, and I still had my scrapbook paper that I had written in 4th grade. And in 4th grade, I stood up proudly and I wrote down on my paper, "I'm going to be a baseball player." And the funny thing is still to this day, I've never even played baseball once. So obviously, the universe had different ideas for me. What am I talking about? I'm Shelly Jo Wallstrom. I'm a certified hypnotherapist. I'm a certified addiction, recovery, mental health, nutrition coach. I specialize in amino acid therapy. And how did I get here? Well, because I'm a mother. And let's see, 6 of the, is it 6? Yeah, 6 of the hardest words I was ever told, or one of my daughters ever said to me, were these 6 words: "I just want to feel normal. I just want to feel normal." Those words broke my heart. At age 6, she was diagnosed with anxiety. And through medications and doctors, I, as her mom, thought I was doing everything I could to help her feel better. And yet, at age 15, she came to me and said, "Mom," in tears, "I'm tired of being a doctor's science project. I just want to feel normal." I felt helpless. I thought we were doing everything we could to help her. And yet, my beautiful daughter was still struggling. And unfortunately, she turned to drugs and alcohol to feel better, to find that normalcy in her brain. It wasn't a world I understood. I knew nothing about addiction. I assumed that I could love her enough, or I could ground her enough to help her through. And yet, I bet you can understand how well that worked, right? And I was thrown into a world I knew nothing about. We got her out of high school and thought that by putting her in a rehab center, that would be the answer. She came out clean from drugs and alcohol. But she came out addicted to sugar and caffeine and tobacco. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay, because those are legal. I mean, I liked them. They were legal, right? And so then I thought, yes, in my day activity, we fixed this. We're done. We're moving on. And 30 days later, she was introduced to math. And it rocked my world. And it put me on a trail as a mother of fear that I would lose my daughter. And that's when I went out looking for answers. What did I not understand? Why could she not just stop using? Good morning, Jennifer. Why could she just not stop using? It didn't make sense to me. And yet, I didn't understand it. It was not the world I knew anything about. And 2017 came, and I have 3 daughters, 3 beautiful daughters. And in January of 2017, my oldest daughter had a little 11-month-old baby. And in January of 2017, she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. 11 months old. How does that happen? Also, my second daughter, she was pregnant with this beautiful baby, and everything was going great. We thought it was wonderful. She had her. And 3 days after she had this beautiful baby, she was thrown into postpartum OCD. And it was so scary because there was no reason, there was no symptoms, there was nothing that would have caused this that we could think about, and threw her into a psych ward. And my third daughter, who struggled, was in jail. And when she got out, my heart broke because I thought, okay, I've got to learn something. I'm going to lose my daughter. And I watched this cycle. And what happens is, and it could be anything. It could be any kind of, it could be sugar. It could be addiction. It could be too much social media, pornography, whatever it looks like, right? Whatever that our brain is looking for. We set this goal and say, I am no longer going to have sugar. I'm no longer going to spend so much money shopping. I'm no longer going to watch pornography. I'm no longer going to use alcohol or drugs or whatever that looks like for everybody. And, we set this and we say, okay, I'm going to be strong. And there's a cycle, right? Okay, strong. I want to stay strong. And then all of a sudden, you get to a point where it's like, I can't do this anymore. And so there's this relapse, right? And then we're stuck again in this cycle. And then something will happen and we keep going in this cycle. And there's some things I learned about. First of all, I learned about addiction is they don't want to be an addict. Usually they're self-medicating for either a mental health issue or something in the past. And the third thing is they're just white knuckling up, meaning they're not using, but they just don't feel good. Right? And I watched this cycle. And finally, I did the only thing that I knew what I could do. And that was I prayed. And I said, God, I need help. I do not want to lose my daughter. And you know what? 2 days later, I was watching a Consumer Report on TV, and they were talking about how they're using in rehab centers, they use amino acids. And what they do is they take specific amino acids that feed the brain, and they give it to you through IV, or they give it to that person that's in rehab. And after 3 days, the cravings start to go away, and after 10 days, they're almost completely gone. They have an 85% rate of recovery. And I thought, that's my answer. That's it. It's $1,000 a day. And so I'm thinking, okay, Lord, is there another answer? Something a little bit cheaper? And I thought to myself, you know what? I think I can figure this out. I'm very smart. What if I go to the health food store and I buy a whole bunch of amino acids and I give it to her? It made perfectly sense to me. Luckily, I had a nurse friend who said, you can't just throw amino acids at people. You need to understand them. I'm like, okay, great. So what did I do? I Googled amino acid therapy in rehab center using supplements. And I found a place in Florida and I called and said, look, first of all, I'm a mother of a daughter who struggles with addiction. And second of all, I'm a hypnotherapist. I had these clients and who would come to me, and I don't know if you're a practitioner, if you're not, but maybe you understand what this looks like is. I'd have them come to me and I'd work with them. And hypnosis is powerful. Hypnosis is so amazing. First of all, it's scientifically proven. And what it's doing, it's getting the conscious to talk to the subconscious. And I'm going to be going into this in more detail in a different show. But anyway, what it does is it gets to the root of some of the beliefs that we have, some of the beliefs or the false stories or the false thinking that you may have picked up when you were a child. And they get buried and we don't know what they are, but we just know that we want to set a goal and we go to work on it and we sabotage it. Or we have those thoughts of, I'm not good enough or I'm not smart enough, whatever that is. And it's powerful because you're getting into the subconscious to allow you to understand what is in there, what's that root, and to be able to heal it and heal that little child. It's pretty cool. And I had a few clients that had the desire. They wanted to learn how to do hypnosis and how it worked. And yet they were stuck, right? So I work with them and then they come back the next week and I was like, I hadn't done anything. And I'm like, okay, what did I not do that was different than I should have been doing? And I work with them again. And then they come back, it's like 51st days. And I'm like, okay, there's something here. There's something that's missing chemically in the brain. I didn't understand it, but I just knew it. It is not allowing them to accept the changes that they're getting through hypnosis. And so when I called this guy in Florida, I said, look, this is what I'm up against. I'm a mother of a daughter who's struggling. I have clients. I know there's a missing link. What can you teach me about amino acids? And he said, you know what? I can teach you everything you want. In 2 weeks, we're having training in Salt Lake City, which is 30 miles away from me. And you can come and learn all about it. And I knew that my prayer had been answered. Crazy, right? And I'm going to go into all that. What am I talking about, guys? This is what it looks like. Feed your brain looks like this. Brain, body, and emotion. 3, right? It's like a 3-legged stool. If you've seen a 3-legged stool, you know that that stool has to have all 3 legs strong to be able to stand. And if one of those areas isn't working, that stool will not stand. Well, that's the same as human beings. We have the brain, we have our body, and we have emotions. And a lot of times it's easy to just look at one of those areas and say, I'm going to make a change. Let's take sugar for a minute. Let's say we decide, I'm going to get off sugar. I know it's not good for me. It's going to make a difference in my life. So I take sugar out of my life. Okay, well, emotionally, sugar is like your blanket, right? It's like an emotional blanket, and it says, no. You don't get to take my sugar away from me. Sugar is what makes me happy, and it brings me energy, and there's a lot more to that than just the emotional part, but it has an emotional attachment. But the brain is like, oh, wait a minute, time out. I need sugar to feed my brain. Okay. And in the brain, we have these great chemicals, and they're called neurotransmitters. That's what we're going to be talking about. And they fire these happy, calm, feel-good chemicals in the brain. There's serotonin, which is like positive mind, flexibility. Dopamine is your energy, your drive, your focus. Endorphins make you happy, right? If you've ever seen that show Legally Blonde, when she makes the comment, there's no way she could kill her husband because she exercises. Exercise causes endorphins. Endorphins make people happy. Happy people don't kill their husband, right? That's what endorphins do. It floods your body with this incredible, amazing feeling. And the other one, the fourth one, is GABA. And GABA is your body's ability to relax naturally. And these chemicals, when they're working, they are amazing. But when they're not working, it causes anxiety, depression, worry, stress. And when our brain is like, wait a minute, I'm missing something. I want to feel better. I want to be in homeostasis. And because I'm not, I want to turn to something to make me feel better. Sugar, starches, caffeine, aspartame, alcohol, drugs, behaviors such as too much shopping, too much gaming, gambling, too much social media, too much being addicted and stuck to our phone, too much pornography. Because it's going to go to something to make it feel the best, the fastest. What I learned is that by feeding the brain specific amino acids, which are just the protein broken down to its most minuscule amount and fed straight into the brain, we can raise those neurotransmitters and reduce those symptoms and cravings. The craziest thing ever. And so when I started out, said, if I'm only going to stop taking sugar because it's not good for my body, yet these other things are like, I need sugar. It's really challenging. It's really hard to stay off that sugar, right? To stay off that, I'm going to stay strong and I'm just going to white knuckle it. But when I'm looking at the body and the person as a whole, feed the brain specific amino acids, feed the body nutrition. There's a connection between the brain and body when it comes to mental health. What you eat matters. What you eat matters. And feeding and changing the thoughts through hypnotherapy. And that, my friends, is what we're going to be talking about in this class.